This eclipse is about to give us a preview of some of the most profound, fated, and turbulent energies that we're going to be experiencing over the next 1.5 years. And while this eclipse is giving us a glimpse into the future, it's also very much about our past and moving on from things that no longer serve us. This eclipse is about big endings, and that's because it's happening at the 29th anaretic degree in the sign of Aries. So what does this mean? It means that this is a volatile transitionary placement for the eclipse. It means that we are all collectively moving on from something that is far past its expiration date in order to make space for something brand new. A brand new paradigm in all of our lives is about to unfold, and the themes surrounding that new paradigm are going to become very prominent around the time of this eclipse. You're probably already feeling it, given the fact that the most potent energy of this eclipse, because it is a hybrid eclipse, which means it's a combination of an annular and total eclipse energy. It's very strong and very powerful. And so the sort of time frame when you're going to be feeling the influence the most is about 10 days before the exact eclipse, which is happening on the 19th, and 10 days after. So from the 9th of April through the 19th of April, we're going to be feeling the signs, the synchronicities. We're going to be getting the messages, getting the downloads, getting that understanding, that preview of what's to come. So pay very close attention to what bubbles up for you in your subconscious mind, but also in your conscious waking reality. Chance encounters that come up during this time are not by chance. Relationships that end during this time, again, not by chance. Basically, everything that's going on right now that feels extra significant is because it's of profound importance. It is an eclipse event, and eclipse events will change our lives. They'll change our destinies. They'll change the trajectory of where we're headed. They throw us on a brand new path that's more aligned with where we're supposed to be headed, that's more aligned with what our soul wants for its growth and evolution in this lifetime. And so this is a powerful time. Eclipses are my absolute favorite thing to talk about here on my channel because they are some of the most life-changing energies, especially when they're hitting your chart really exactly and really powerfully, which we'll talk about as we get into the forecast for the signs, and before that when I discuss kind of what to look for in your own chart. But before we do that, I want to get into a general energy of this eclipse. Please don't skip this because this is so important, you guys. It's going to give you a really important context for what's to come and what I'm going to be discussing in your individual sign forecast. And because this is such a powerful energy, you're going to want to get all of the information that you can here. Also, make sure that you like this video. Subscribe to my channel, please, if you haven't already done so. I would really appreciate that. And, share this video with your friends if you feel like they could benefit from learning about the eclipse. And and speaking of the eclipse, comment below because we are already in the eclipse zone. Let me know how this has been going for you, what themes and energies have been coming up for you so far, and just kind of take a second to ponder that, especially the things that feel extra strange, extra synchronistic, extra important in a way that's indescribable or that lacks logical explanation, because that's usually a clue or a key to what's coming up. The other thing with eclipses that I should mention is that there's something typically being eclipsed in terms of understanding or information prior to the eclipse coming exact surrounding the events that unfold as a result or as a correspondence to the eclipse energy. And so what I mean by that is if something's coming up for you right now, if you're going through already a big, massive ending, or you're starting something new that's really huge and really different in some way, there's something that you're not necessarily seeing the whole picture about that will become much more clear, and it'll be revealed to you after the eclipse comes exact. And that's a pretty hard and fast rule with eclipses, but especially with this one. So let's get into the nitty gritty of this eclipse. So I'm going to backtrack and start with that 29th anaretic degree because that is so important. So that 29th degree is a very volatile placement of any of the zodiac signs. It indicates transition. It indicates volatility. It indicates instability. It indicates that things are more changeable and more malleable than they typically would otherwise be. And so this is a period of great instability and intentional destabilizing. Not intentional necessarily by you, although you might feel like you have a role in it or a choice in it. Typically, if it's actually connected to the eclipse, it's something that's happening that we're just kind of along for the ride. What's interesting about North Node eclipses versus South Node eclipses, and this is a North Node eclipse, is that with North Node eclipses, we tend to feel as though we are driving the ship, even though we innately kind of know that we're not. It's almost like we feel so compelled to jump in and do something that it just takes hold of us. Like we don't actually have a choice when it really comes down to it, because we feel so drawn to take that action, to sign that contract, to enter that relationship, or to end that relationship with this 29th degree Aries, or to end that contract, to end that thing. So you can move on and make space for the thing that you know in your heart is about to transpire, that's about to develop over the next year and a half plus. And so this is a powerful energy there. The 29th degree is also the degree of, because it's kind of an energy of being between worlds. It's kind of like you're between one world and another. You're between one paradigm and another. It's this weird, nebulous space where it's like you haven't quite finished up the thing that needs to be wrapped up in order to move on to that next profound step. But you're also starting out and getting yourself prepared for that next profound step. And so you're in this kind of weird limbo zone. And, when it comes to that significance within our perception of reality, it's a similar thing. The veils are a little bit thinner. Eclipses do that anyway, because it is kind of like that dance between fate and free will becomes more about fate during these time periods. And so there are energies and powers at play that we don't normally have as much conscious access to or conscious awareness of during the eclipses. But also at the 29th degree, it kind of represents this energy of clairvoyance or clairaudience or clair whatever, because you're able to tap into energies because you're in this space between worlds that you wouldn't normally be able to tap into. And so people who have a lot of strong energy in their chart at the 29th degree, especially with more personal planets and things like that, tend to be a little bit psychic. They tend to be able to pick up on things that other people can't quite pick up on, especially pertaining to the planet involved. And so this eclipse is kind of like that, but for everybody, especially if it's hitting your 29th degree planets. You're going to be having like crazy insights that you're going to be like, where are these coming from? And why do I feel this insatiable urge to do this thing that has just, appeared to me in a flash, or that, came to me through some sort of synchronistic event, those types of things. So I like this energy for that, because to me, that's always kind of fun. But this is not necessarily an easy eclipse or a nice eclipse energy. And so we'll kind of start to touch on that in just a second. I'm going to talk about first, like what I like about it though, because we will have a mixed energy with this eclipse. It's not like the most horrific eclipse that I've ever seen, but it's also not it's not gentle. It's not gentle at all, you guys. This is an eclipse that's going to slap you in the face and say, look at this. Like, this is what you need to be doing. If you're not already doing it, there's going to be some, turbulence that's going to throw you in that direction, specific turbulence. But it's going to be for your benefit. So couple different things before we get into that. So we have this eclipse at the 29th degree. It's a hybrid solar eclipse, like what I mentioned before. And that just means that it's viewed as annular in some locations and total in other locations, depending on where you are across the globe. And so you can look at like timeanddate.com or one of those other websites and find, how it's going to be visible or whether or not it's going to be visible in your location. If it is visible in your location, then you would want to look to see if it's hybrid or annular. And also, if it's visible in your location, this eclipse will impact you and your locality more so than it will impact other people and their localities. So that's important information to have as well. But in terms of the eclipse itself and what this means, it just means it's a really potent eclipse. And what's weird is that it's almost like a hybrid eclipse astrologically, because it's the first eclipse in the sign of Aries in a series of, 18 months once we have the nodes actually shifting signs into Aries and Libra, which is going to be happening in July. And so this is the very first eclipse in Aries. However, it's not all the way in the sign of Aries just yet. We still have the nodes in the signs of Taurus and Scorpio. And so we're finishing out those North and South node lessons, those Taurus and Scorpio lessons that we've been going through every single eclipse season for the last year and a half plus. And so, paying attention to what you've already started out with, what you've already begun that is screaming at you to pay attention to it, to take it to the next level, or to maybe end it, right? Because it's like, okay, you started this and maybe it's not the thing that you should have started, or maybe you should be starting something else instead. Maybe this isn't working for you anymore. Maybe it was just here for a season and a reason, but not for your lifetime. That could include relationships, that could include a career choice, that could include a lot of things. Again, we'll specify that when we get into the all signs forecast. But pay attention to that. So this is in big endings, wrapping things up from that Taurus Scorpio axis. This is about letting go of the past and faded changes, faded transitions, faded endings that are intended to make space for what this energy of the Aries Libra axis for the eclipses is going to bring us. So these are all of the things to pay attention to. In addition to this, for this specific eclipse and what it's going to be bringing for us, it's in a conjunction with Jupiter, which is in the sign of Aries right now. It'll be there for a little bit longer. I believe end of May is when, or middle of May actually, is when Jupiter moves into Taurus. And so that's a benefic energy, you guys. But in the sign of Aries, this could be kind of overdoing it, being overly excited and enthusiastic, taking too much action, being way too ambitious about something to the point where it's overkill, where you could hurt someone, where you could burn yourself out, where you could overindulge and just simply overdo it. So you want to be mindful of that around this eclipse time period, especially if you're somebody who's already prone to taking things too far, already prone to overdoing it, or somebody who has just a lot of strong end degree Aries or beginning degree Taurus stuff going on in your chart. The other thing with this eclipse, so that indicates that this is overall going to bring blessings. It kind of protects us against the worst case scenario when it comes to the turbulence with this eclipse. And it will be turbulent, you guys. Again, this is not a gentle eclipse. It's in Aries, which is a fire sign ruled by Mars. It's very much going to be a lot of physical, overt, active manifestation of things happening that might be beyond your control, but you're going to be doing a lot of these things, especially in the sign of Aries. With the North Node involved and this being in Aries, it's going to feel like you're doing it, but it's also going to feel like, as I mentioned before, you don't have a choice. So make sure that the choices you make and the things you're doing, if you're going all in, you're not going too hard, too fast. And also just know that this isn't something that is going to manifest all at once. This is the beginning. Like, this is not even the first chapter of the story, you guys. This is like the prelude, right? This is the preface. This is the introduction. It's not the actual first chapter yet. It's just kind of warming you up to what the story is going to look like for you over the next year and a half. So know that whatever is coming, even though you feel a sense of urgency around it, you feel really pumped about it, that it doesn't have to happen all right now, and it won't happen all right now, especially not before you've ended the things and let go of the attachments that you need to let go of in order to make that space. And so here's kind of where we get into the really turbulent energy. So this is actually going to be in a square with Pluto. So Pluto just entered the sign of Aquarius. As we already know, that's a big, powerful, revolutionary energy. And the nodes are squaring Pluto pretty closely. They'll come exact to square Pluto at the end of July, on July 28th. And so a lot of the things that are going to be revealed to you in a very probably harsh and emotionally and psychologically intense way about yourself, about your partnerships, about your situation in life. It's almost as if you didn't want to look at something and all of a sudden it's just there in your face and you have to see it. You can't ignore it. And now you have to do something about it. That's like what this energy is. Anytime you have Pluto involved, it's a deep revelation about a core truth behind something that has been buried or unrecognized or, neglected or kept secret in some way. And so this is a revelatory energy, and it's a fated energy where something fated will be revealed to us collectively. I'm sure that will be the case. I'm very excited to see what unfolds excited is a weird word because I think it's not going to be necessarily the greatest energy for us collectively, but I'm definitely intrigued to see what's revealed on a societal and public kind of level over the next couple of weeks, and really into May, and also especially in July. But it's going to be interesting to see what's revealed in your own life, like the truth that's revealed about you and your personal experience. Pay close attention to that, because that truth is going to lead to the change that you need in order to fulfill your destiny, in order to move into your fate. This is that fate zone. And so we have that Pluto energy. And also, I should mention, since we have this eclipse in square with Pluto and the nodes come exact in square with Pluto on July 28th, we will see a major manifestation of something that was revealed to us. So this is kind of like the revelation phase, but then something is made manifest or more apparent or taken to the next level around the time that we have Pluto squaring the nodes exact on July 28th of 2023. So pay attention, mark your calendars. I'm sure I'll be on here talking about that when it happens, but you want to just be aware that this is an ongoing story. Everything's not going to happen all at once right now. And that's going to be one of those major activation points of this eclipse, and one of those major manifestation moments. Also, the things that are started at this eclipse won't fully come to fruition until really the end of this year. And I wrote down the dates here somewhere. So September, October of this year is when we're going to come to the point of resolution to what's been initiated, what's kind of taken hold at the time of this eclipse. So that's another key date to make note of. Final thing I want to mention, even though this is a turbulent energy, even though Pluto could bring about a crisis of like truth, right? This is a crisis of authenticity. This is a crisis of passion. This is a crisis of, are you aligning yourself with who you truly are? Are you sitting in your truth, as some people say? Are you being authentic? Are you being you? Are you doing the things that you want to do because you want to do them? Or are you doing them for some other sort of surface level vanity reason? Like, what does that look like for you? And you're not going to be able to hide from yourself when it comes to this eclipse energy. But again, the full manifestation and what that actually brings out on a tangible, objective level might not come to pass until closer to the end of this year, especially in the fall, September, October. But the other thing I want to say is that Jupiter is involved, right? That protects us against worst case scenario. It does indicate that regardless of how psychologically or emotionally intense the situations that come up might be, they do have a reason, and there's some sort of blessing or some sort of benefit that is very likely to come from them. This also could be, again, it's just so much energy about taking things to extremes, you guys, because Pluto in the mix with Jupiter, all squaring this eclipse in the sign of Aries. This is just, people are going to be going wild. They're going to be going wild. They're going to be taking extreme measures. Please do try your best to rein it in, because this is an energy where whatever you initiate is going to be highly unpredictable. And if you go way all in and it's not what you intended and it's just creating a mess, I don't want you guys in that situation. If you have a choice in the matter, eclipse season, right? But yeah, that Jupiter energy is there. And then Saturn is actually newly in the sign of Pisces. I did a really great video on Saturn and Pisces. You guys should check out after this. And it's in a really nice trine sextile with the North and South nodes. And so whatever it is that we're letting go of and wrapping up and moving on from to create space, to create a foundation for what it is that we're moving into in the future, it's intended to create greater stability moving forward for us. So this instability, this turbulence, this rocky energy that we're in, it's going to lead to something beneficial, but also greater stability moving forward after this period. So hopefully that all is helpful and it all makes sense for you guys. I do want to just kind of go through, for those of you who are interested in kind of going a little deeper into your own chart, make sure you download first and foremost my Astrology 101 PDF guide. From there, you're going to want to look at which planets you have first and foremost in the signs of Aries, Taurus, Scorpio, and Libra. These are the planets and their significations that are going to be the most subject to all of the turbulence, change, and craziness that I just talked about. When it comes to other planetary energies, there's actually a lot that's going to be impacted by this eclipse, because it is spanning the Libra Aries axis and the Taurus Scorpio axis. So you're going to want to look at a lot of different placements. But planets in those signs, Aries, Taurus, Libra, Scorpio, are going to be more subject to very fated, very turbulent change, especially at the end degrees of Aries and the beginning degrees of Taurus. The houses that are ruled by those signs. So if you want to go even deeper into that, so the houses that are occupied by the signs that are ruled by those planets that are in Aries, Taurus, Libra, Scorpio in your chart, those significations of those houses will also be subject to very fated change, transition, just a lot of really big energy there. Other places you're really going to want to look at, any planets that you have in Aquarius, so in any of the fixed signs, so Aquarius and Leo. Also any planets that you have in the signs of Capricorn and Cancer. So the cardinal signs and the fixed signs are going to be hit by this the hardest, the most, in a way that's most apparent and in your face, where it's going to be a little bit more stressful for you guys, and the change is going to be more profound. Areas where it could be easier, gosh, it's hitting so many areas of the chart all at once, you guys. It's hitting everything. You're all going to be impacted really intensely. But fire signs, so looking at Leo again, it's kind of a mixed energy, because Leo is going to be hit by a trine, especially if you have end degree Leo planets, and obviously Sagittarius. And so this could bring really fated, more gentle benefits from this energy. Same thing with the earth signs. So going back to Capricorn again, Capricorn is a mixed bag. But if you have early degree Capricorn planets, that's going to be a trine. That's going to be beneficial energy of fate and change. Same thing if you have early degree energy in the sign of Virgo. And so you're going to want to check all of those signs and all the planets in those signs and all the significations of the planets in those signs in my Astrology 101 PDF guide, free download down below for all of you. And so let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs, you guys. I'm excited. So for Aries and for Aries rising, this energy is big for you. This is the initiation into I would say, what is it now? More than a year and a half, because this is going to be starting in July. So year and a half plus 3-month period of massive change, massive transition, where you're going to be moving into a brand new path, a brand new paradigm across your entire life. This is where fate steps in and guides you into your destiny. But it's not going to be without some hiccups. It's not going to be without some challenges. And especially at the onset, this is going to be a very disruptive energy. It's going to be very disruptive to your current paradigm. It's going to be very disruptive to who you think you are and what it is that you think that you're doing out there in the world. This is a time where you're very likely to initiate something, but initiate something out of this like pull or this call or this energy of being guided into it, where you feel obsessed with the need to start looking into something new. You might not jump all the way in just yet, because there's a lot that you need to wrap up and let go of and tie up loose ends with when it comes to your finances, the financial growth or turbulence that you've experienced over the past couple of years, and the way that you go about creating, utilizing, saving your resources. All of that needs to be explored and examined in a really big way before you can move on. So you have to deal with the tangible and what's going on in the here and now in a very practical sense first, when it comes to your wealth, your material possessions, your things. But there's this energy here of like wanting to start something new and wanting to jump all in and feeling like this is part of your destiny, because it is part of your destiny. And you'll fully move into and fully start realizing that destiny very quickly. This could also bring up new beginnings that could have a reverberation or some sort of impact on your relationships, because this is going to be on an axis. And so it's showing you how you need to show up, what you need to do, who you need to be in order to draw in the right types of relationships or create a better balance in your relationships. Over the next year and a half plus 3 months, over that time period, you're going to be focusing more on developing yourself, who you are, what you came here to do, what you want out in the world. This is about reinventing you. As a result of this, you're going to have to make changes and reinvent your relationships and let go of a lot of relationships that are not going to come along with you for the ride. They're not in alignment with the new you. And what's being revealed to you is exactly how you are not being authentic. You are not showing up as yourself truly and fully. You're not embodying that energy. This is going to be an empowering energy that shows you what you need to do in order to become really who you're supposed to be and who you were always meant to be. This is a very enthusiastic energy, so try very hard not to overextend yourself and overdo it. There will be a lot of curveballs and changes coming your way over the next couple of weeks, so plan lightly and flexibly. This is one of those times where you don't want to pile on extra appointments, extra this, extra that, because you're going to want to be able to roll with the punches, because things will change and shift, especially if you are one of those N degrees Aries placements. All right. And so for Taurus and for Taurus rising, and that's your chart up there, Taurus, in case you didn't, I never know which way I'm pointing. In case you didn't know that already. So for Taurus and for Taurus rising, this energy is happening in your 12th house. So this is even more about endings. So you're kind of wrapping up a period of self-development and personal growth. You've been doing a lot of exploring. There's been this insatiable need to assert yourself, to assert your sovereignty, to become an independent person, to become more of who you are and who you were meant to be, and to focus on your own needs, your own values, your own personal growth. And there have probably been some changes when it comes to relationships, where fated relationships have come into the mix for you, where certain relationships have ended in a way that feels synchronistic, fated, or necessary, kind of in the grand scheme of things. And overall, your entire life has been subject to a lot of shifting and changing. And so this is marking the beginning of the end of that. So anything you need to do to align yourself with your destiny, your calling, your truth, your whatever that you are intending to be and that you need to be and develop in this lifetime, this is the last call. You have 3 months to do it, and then we're moving on, right? And what we're moving on to for you is a period of readjusting. It's a period of solitude and contemplation where you're going to be kind of doing a lot of inner work because you've made a lot of external changes, right? It's time to kind of go inward and to reflect on those changes and make internal adjustments, spiritual adjustments, behind the scenes adjustments to the way that you're living your life and engaging with this reality. I would also say that especially with this eclipse, you could have a lot of really intense dreams or even profound nightmares. That's not something that you should necessarily be afraid of. It's something to just pay attention to, because whatever comes up in the subconscious realm for you through dreams, through meditations, through whatever, it's intending to show you something, and it's something that's so important and that runs really deep. It's showing you something about the core truth of who you are and what you need to let go of and detach from, because that's going to be the big theme for you over the next year and a half plus, 3 months, where you're going to be going through a period of ending, letting go, detaching. So you've built up a lot over the past couple of years, and now is the time to detach from things that are not serving you and to spend some time kind of in your own space, in your own energy, integrating all of that. And that's going to be a big part of this as well. There could be fated, turbulent events that come up involving very literally, on a mundane level, like 12th house institutions. And those are things like, hospitals, rehabilitation centers, ashrams, prisons. I'm not saying that all of you are going to go to prison or something like that, but like if that's something that is a part of your reality, or it's relevant to you already, like these are things that could come up for you, or it could be something new coming up for you. Hard to say. And so those are things to just kind of make note of as well. But for the most part, this is more about kind of internal work and a lot of healing that you're going to be doing on an energetic and spiritual level. Okay. And so for Gemini and for Gemini rising. So for Gemini, this energy is happening in your 11th house, which is the house of friends, group associations, social networks, and people that you surround yourself with by choice. It's also happening in the 12th, which again, this is a big period of endings. And this for you is going to be an extra big period of endings. This is where you've been doing a lot of spiritual growth. You've probably been studying or practicing or dabbling in some sort of unusual spiritual practice, or studying something behind the scenes that's a little unorthodox. Maybe you're not letting that be known publicly, but this is the first time where you're going to bring that out into your social circle and test the waters with it on a more social or public level. That could be a big thing for a lot of you around the time of this eclipse, or it could be that it's exposed against your will, and then you have to deal with it. You have to integrate it. You have to talk about it. This is also a time where it'll be very apparent to you which friendships and group associations you need to disconnect with in order to connect with and build the right networks over the next year and a half plus 3 months. And so that's going to be a time where you're going to be creating and developing friendships that are fated, that are destined, that change your life and the trajectory of your life forever, basically. So this is throwing you in a new path as a result of these social connections. And you could start having some of these, or start kind of, it could even be that you get like a flash of insight that you should think about joining this group, or you should go to this, event, or something along those lines. And even though this time around, it doesn't necessarily turn into the thing, it leads you to the thing when this energy becomes more profound after July of this year. All right. And so for Cancer and for Cancer rising. So for Cancers, this is a big energy. It's in the cardinal signs. You are a cardinal sign. And so this is going to be the first taste that you're going to get of the new developments that you're going to be making in your career and public reputation, the legacy you leave behind after your working years, and the mark that you make on the world. So it doesn't necessarily have to be to like doing with work, or it doesn't necessarily have to do with work if you're not somebody who's working, but you could think that you're not going to ever work again. And all of a sudden you're thrown back into the public sphere. You're thrown back into a new career path that you never dreamed possible. And so, never say never, but this is a time where something new can develop in that area regardless. This is where you're going to get signs, synchronicities, chance encounters, events that come up for you related to what it is that you're doing out in the world, the impact you make on the world around you, your goals, your drive, your ambitions when it comes to your career, you as a leader too. This could be a time where you start to see that you could come into prominence as a leader in your field, and the eclipses and the nodes can help you do that. However, be aware that there are going to be unintended consequences to your actions and the things that are initiated when it comes to your career path now and into the future. And so you just want to be okay with that. That doesn't mean that unintended consequences are all negative. It just means they're unintended and they are consequences. And so they could fall on a big variety of that spectrum. It just depends on the way that your chart looks more personally and the way that this is hitting it. This is also a final wrapping up, a last chance to align yourself with the right people that you want to take with you to the top. This is the last chance to connect with the right groups of people, the right friends, the synchronistic chance encounters that you've been experiencing with certain people, certain groups, certain networks over the past couple of years. That's all coming to a head, and you might have a little bit more of that. There might be one more person, or one more social group that you need to touch base with in order to move on and move into this new space of prominence. This energy is also giving you a very hard look at power dynamics in your social circle, in your relationships, especially group associations and friendships. And so this could be that something's revealed to you that changes something about your friendship in a very profound way. You might not see it yet. It might be after the eclipse. It might not really fully manifest until, the end of July when we have the Pluto square of the nodes exact. But there's something here to pay attention to that you're not quite aware of yet. It's an interesting one. It's like someone could be lying to you or misleading you or miscommunicating something that's kind of important to the basis of your friendship or your connection with that person. It could even be like a lie about money or finances if that's applicable to you. I know that's going to be a specific subset of people. So pay attention to that, but you're going to wrap this up. You're going to clear it out and you're going to make space to move toward your goals. All right. For Leo and for Leo rising. For Leo, this is happening in your 9th house, which is the house of long distance travel, higher educational pursuits, wisdom that's gained through experience. This is also the house of your beliefs about God, the universe, the world around you, your unique philosophies that frame your perspective of your reality. All of these things are going to be subject to a major revelation, major turbulence, and a lot of change. This could be that you have an opportunity for travel or an opportunity for higher education. But in order to engage with that, you have to face something, especially something about either your health or your relationships that you didn't necessarily want to face. And now it's kind of there, it's front and center, and you have to deal with it. And so in order to kind of make space for this new adventure, this new paradigm, this new teaching engagement, this new educational pursuit, whatever it is that's coming up for you, you're going to have to deal with the truth of your close personal relationships. And that could be, confronting like a spouse or significant other. That could be, just looking at the way that you engage in relationship and being truthful to yourself about your faults, right? As a partner or in friendship or in connection with other people. So that's something to make note of as well. There could also be something going on here with a contract, agreement, or a negotiation involving business or your career where you might want to move into something new. And the eclipse might be bringing you there. but you don't have all the information right now. It is murky. And after the eclipse, something will be revealed to you that will change the way you perceive this. And this could bring about some sort of psychological or emotional crises about this connection. Or it could be that you already have like an agreement, a contract, a connection involving your career or, somebody in a position of power and authority. It could even be involving the government. And something is revealed to you around or after this time of this eclipse that shows you the truth about this, and it causes you to want to let go or disengage. That's going to make space for greater freedom for you to explore and grow and expand moving forward. Okay, and then for Virgo and for Virgo rising, this energy is happening in your 8th house, which is the house of death and rebirth, but it's the house of intense psychological healing and issues. It's the house of debt and joint finances and other people's money. It's the house of a lot of different things, tangible and intangible. So let's start with the tangible. So this could bring a taste or a preview of what's to come when it comes to major upheavals and unintended or unexpected changes when it comes to your finances, or especially your partner's finances, when it comes to the results of debt or taking on new debt. I wouldn't recommend taking on new debt. I mean, Jupiter's there, but this is a weird time. Don't do that right now if you can avoid it. It's going to have unintended and unexpected consequences if you're doing that right now. Also, investments that you make right now. Yeah, there is an upside, but again, they could have unintended or unexpected consequences. Whatever you think is going to happen with that investment, whatever you think is going to happen with that loan is not what's going to happen. Also with your partner and their resources, you might have your partner making a fated, very karmic leap into something new financially. And that's okay. If it's fated, it's fated, but just know that what you think is happening or what they think is happening is not necessarily what's happening. And that could be for better or for worse. Maybe they think something terrible is happening. Maybe you're just worried sick about it and it's nothing to be worried about. So it could fall on both ends of the spectrum depending on what's going on more specifically for you. The other thing is that you need to let go or change something that is connected to your beliefs, your philosophies about God, the universe, the world around you. Your mindset, your perspective on reality needs to change, or you need to acquire new wisdom, new experience, new information in order to make space for the new path that you're about to be moving into that's more aligned with your destiny when it comes to your financial situation. Also, when it comes to healing, esoteric study can sometimes be in there, occult study, or especially when it comes to like deep psychological wounds that you are going to be working toward healing, or when it comes to you coming into your own as a healer, because that could be a big thing too. There's something that you need to shift, big picture, when it comes to your beliefs, not just your mindset, but your beliefs about something in order to make that a reality. And for Libra and for Libra rising, so this eclipse is showing you a preview of the big changes to come when it comes to your relationships, your friendships, your close associations, your connections to other people. There could also be a fated transition or contract that could be taking place, or that could come up for you, or that could be hinted at around this time that doesn't fully come manifest until, July or even like September, October of this year. But this is a time where it's going to become very apparent that your relationships and your connection to your partner, or just to people in general, you don't have to be partnered, need to change in some way. This could also be a hint at like what you need in relationship, and that a new relationship could be forming or coming in for you. It could even start right now, but it's not likely to turn into the full expression of what it's going to actually be until later on down the line. And so that's important to make note of as well. There's something that you need to let go of. There's like a deep-seated fear, a deep psychological issue, something from your past that was really traumatic or difficult for you that you're holding on to psychologically, that you're afraid of. When you're holding on to fear that is not connected to the present reality, it controls your decisions, it controls your behavior, and it controls how you act in relationships. And so this is a time where that's going to be revealed to you in a big way, especially when it comes to romance, especially when it comes to sex and sexuality. There could be a deep-seated fear, wound, issue, trauma that's triggered and comes up for you, not because it's happening again, but because something reminds you, or it's just time to like heal through it, to change your perception of it, to move on, so that way you can have a good, healthy, beautiful, deeply intimate connection with somebody else that in a way that you couldn't before. So this is a really great energy for that. This is also letting go or moving on from anything that's been holding you back involving joint finances, debt, things of that nature. This could be a really great time to, if there's anything that you've been working on involving investments, involving your finances, and also maybe involving like a partnership with finances, or it could be something with your partner's resources. This is the last chance to really get in there and do it, but something's going to be revealed to you about the way it's already been done that causes you to have to shift or change something before you can finalize it and before you can move on to something new. For Scorpio and Scorpio rising. So for Scorpio, this is happening in your 6th house, which is the house of health, work, daily routines, animals, all of the above. The 6th house, along with the 8th, 12th, it's considered one of the more malefic houses because it does deal with things that are difficult. Luckily, Jupiter's in the mix, so that's protecting you against any sort of worst case scenario. But there could be something coming up for you that's really turbulent, that's very transitionary, that changes something for you in the area of health, right? It's kind of like an energy of moving on from something so you can start something new when it comes to your health, when it comes to your health habits, when it comes to your nutrition, when it comes to your healing, when it comes to your day-to-day routines. This could also be moving on from something involving like animals that you need to move on from in order to create space for something new. And it could be as literal as maybe you had unfortunately, and I hope this isn't the case, and I'm sorry if it is, but, maybe you had a pet that passed over the last couple of years and you haven't been ready to move on and, get a new pet and fill that space. It could be as like simple, not simple, because that's not a simple thing necessarily, but it could be as simple or as literal as that, where, okay, it's time to start moving on. And then once we have these nodes shifting, signs and changing, you're going to, find that special new, pet, that new companion for yourself. It could be moving on from a health issue in a similar way where you've been holding on to it, you've been dwelling on it, you haven't been able to heal, and it's like, finally it's revealed to you and you can move on from it and bring something new into that space that's very fated, destined, karmic, aligned with your destiny, with the North Node moving into the sign of Aries. There's something also going on here involving changes or so you've been going through, your relationship or your partner has been going through a period of a lot of transition, change, new beginnings, where everything is different. You're launching into a brand new paradigm as a couple, or you've had a lot of changes in relationships in general. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that you're partnered. If this is the case, this is kind of the last couple of months to really hone it in and rein it in and do what you need to do to move on. So that way you can make space for focusing on something else, because there's been a lot of focus on partnership, and that's been exactly what's been needed. It's been exactly what's been called for. But now your soul is ready to kind of take on something new. Maybe you're ready to come into your own as a healer. Maybe you're ready to do something of service. Maybe that comes up for you in a way that's fated and, not of your choice, but it's part of your destiny. And so all of these things are a potential, and these are themes that might come up right now. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, this is a lot better for you than what you've been experiencing over the last couple of years with the North and South node in your 12th and your 6th house, which are traditionally considered malefic houses. And so you've been going through a period of instability when it comes to your work, potentially your career, your day-to-day habits. With the North node and Uranus in your 6th house, you can't maintain a schedule. As soon as you think you have everything figured out and you have a routine set, something really weird and out of the blue is going to come up and it's going to rattle you and throw you off kilter. It's coming to an end and you're moving into a space of really diving into things that are fated, that are karmic, that are aligned with your destiny and aligned with your passions. This could be new beginnings for you when it comes to the things that you love to do because you love to do it. You could find a new passion. This is also a beautiful time to start a business. This is the house of entrepreneurs. So maybe that's something that you're thinking about or testing the waters with now at the time of this eclipse. Don't launch a business on an eclipse, by the way. But you're thinking about it. You're like dipping your toes in the water. You're exploring, you're researching. So that way, as we move into this new paradigm of the North node in your 5th house, you can go all in. That could be a big part of it too. But you have to clean up the day-to-day busyness and chaos in order to get there first. And that's what you're going to be spending the next couple of months doing. It could also be that you've been taking on like the role of a caregiver in a lot of ways, and that's sort of coming to an end and wrapping up. There's some work you need to do in order to make space and to make that happen. With this energy here, there's something that you could be letting go of too. It's like you're letting go of a hobby, you're letting go of an old passion, you're letting go of an old flame even, because this is the house of sex and sexuality. You're letting go of an affair or something like that. So you're letting go of something in order to make space for something new and something better in that area. This could also be, discussions or energy around children that come up around this time. And so if that's something applicable to you where there's something that you need to let go of involving your children, or there's an idea or a belief about children you need to let go of before you can move on and like have children or, engage with that energy more so. But overall, this is a beautiful energy for Sagittarius. The eclipses are going to be hitting you by trine, this first one, and also, coming up beginning in July, and the nodes. And so this is going to be a very gradual, very gentle, very beautiful and harmonious fated transition into a new paradigm that's more aligned with what you love and where your heart's at. All right, Capricorn and Capricorn rising. So for Capricorns, this is happening in your 4th house, which is the house of home, family, property, and real estate. And this is a little bit more of a turbulent energy. You're just coming out of this zone of, the North and South nodes transiting your 5th and your 11th house, which is a nicer energy. It's an energy where fate steps in and takes you for a ride in a more harmonious way, that you become more aligned with the things that you love, that are connected with your heart, connected to, your children. There could have been fated karmic circumstances that were really positive around children. Maybe you had a child or a surprise baby around this time. It looks like it would have been a surprise. Whatever it is, you're coming to the end phase of that. So this is the last chance to hone in on what you truly value, what you truly are passionate about. This is the last time to hone in on what you want for your, business. If you launched a business at this time, this is the last time to hone in on that creativity. Something is also being revealed to you also about your finances that could put a damper on your plans when it comes to things that are connected to your passions or things that you're doing just because they're enjoyable for you. So kind of make note of that. There's a revelatory energy there. And that might impact what's going on with this eclipse in your 4th house, which is going to bring brand new beginnings, or at least it's going to bring endings. So first off, let's backtrack. It brings endings first. So you're letting go of something, wrapping something up, clearing space in your home, very literally, or with a family dynamic, a family situation, in order to make space for something brand new in this area that's fated and aligned with your destiny. It could be that you're making space. You're very literally cleaning out your house because you are planning a big move, and that move is going to be fated. It's going to change your life in a huge way. Or it could be that you're changing your family dynamic, your family structure in some way, maybe because of that new kid that came in as a surprise for some of you. all of these things are a possibility, but you're in this phase of having to clear something out in order to create that new thing that is very much destined, but it's not quite ripe yet. All right, Aquarius and Aquarius rising. So Aquarius, this energy is happening in your 3rd and your 9th house for the eclipse. Much nicer energy than what you've been having going on before. Not that it was terrible, but eclipses in the 4th and in the 10th house bring major transitions and changes in the area of your home, your property, your place of living. You might have moved or something like that. It brings fated karmic changes in the area of career and public reputation, maybe letting go of something with a career path or an old paradigm there. It brings karmic fated challenges in relationships, and it challenges who you believe that you are. And so you've been going through all of that for 2 years. And so this is a wrapping up and a finalizing and putting in the last little bits and pieces of what you need in order to sustain the positive changes that you made. And also, this is the time to work on letting go of the more negative changes that have come up during this time for you. So all of that's happening. This is also a time where you need to let go of a certain mindset or thought process around something in order to make space for a new educational paradigm, a new learning of some kind. Like it could be that you're going to jump in and get a new certification. You're thinking about it. You're testing the waters now. It could be that you're already learning about something new, but you're going to incorporate it more. You're going to teach it. You're going to talk about it. You're going to podcast about it. Maybe you're thinking about just making a podcast or a YouTube channel or a blog or something like that. And you're just getting things going and setting the stage for that. Whatever it is, it's going to turn into something pretty massive and pretty profound after we get into July, especially, and as the eclipses start to unfold in your 3rd house. This could also be something fated about like a vehicle or a mode of transportation where you got to let go of that old car, even if you don't know what comes next and you have no vehicle. Something's going to come up and it's going to be more important than you think. It's not as mundane as just a vehicle. This could also be fated karmic energy around travel plans. And so all of these things are possible for Aquarius. And finally, last but never least, Pisces and Pisces rising. So for Pisces, this energy is in your 2nd house of money. Money is on your mind. There could be something a little turbulent or disruptive, but also maybe quite positive. It could be like an extreme energy around changes in your wealth in a positive way, where it's almost like too good to be true or too much, or it's like, be careful what you ask for, because it's like, holy crap, how do I deal with all of this? It could be on the other end of the spectrum too, but with Jupiter in the mix, I think it is more positive than negative. That's not going to be the case for every single person, but it is a potential here. There's something you need to let go of, though, in terms of your mindset or some sort of communication or contract with somebody. Also, in this chart, to me, it looks like somebody is talking about you behind your back, or there's something going on in secret that you don't know about that's going to be revealed in some sort of fated communication around the time of this eclipse. So 10 days before, 10 days after, or it's like, you get murmurings of something right now, or you get a feeling or an inkling about it, but it doesn't fully come up for you until July, when we have Pluto squaring the nodes exact. That's when that would actually really manifest. And that's not going to be a nice feeling. It's kind of like a psychological or an emotional crises that comes about because of it, but it's also a clearing of the air that needs to happen in order for you to move on, because you're about to have some potential for growth when it comes to your money, your material possessions. That could also be connected to your career and to your work. And so you want to make sure that you don't have anything lingering that goes on there. It could also be a secret or something that's been kept from you involving siblings or extended family members that comes up around this time, and that really fully is just revealed to you in July. There's a lot that it could be, but there's something there that you're not knowing fully, and it won't be revealed to you until at the very least after this eclipse happens. But could also have an energy of you needing to wrap things up and let go of an old paradigm or an old way of dealing with your finances, or an old way of making money or saving money. Maybe you're clearing out a savings account and putting your money somewhere different. Maybe you are, scrapping your old budget and starting fresh. Maybe you are cashing in on an investment and, getting ready to make a major purchase. All of these things are possible and are potentials. And whatever it is, there's a faded energy around it. And I mean, typically when you have the nodes in your second and eighth house, there's a major change in the way that your finances are. And so you can expect that to happen. As of right now, it looks positive, but I'd have to obviously see your individual chart to know exactly what that looks like. And so that is what's going on for Pisces. And that is my forecast for all 12 signs. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, if you enjoyed this video, please like it. It helps me out a lot, and subscribe to my channel. I always appreciate that so much. And I'm so grateful to all of you for being here, for watching this video. And I'm excited to be back with my bi-weekly astrology forecast, and I'll see you next week. I'm doing an extra forecast for the Mercury retrograde that is also happening during eclipse season. And so I hope to see you there. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.